She bid me take love easy as the leaves grow on the trees. But I, being young and foolish, with her would not agree. I grew up in a land where it rained a lot, and where the women went to church, and the men, sure, they went to the pub. And when they weren't in the pub, then weren't they thinking on how they could get to one?
Oh, for a draught of a vintage, as Keith says. Well, I couldn't care for vintage, but I'd kill for a pint of porter. Who could I tap for 5 bob?
Well, you'll get no money from me.
Didn't ask you.
And what answer did you give your mother when she asked what you'd like as a present for beating all in the intermediate certificate?
I don't remember.
Think now. Think.
I can't recall. It couldn't be money. We had to move house again. Dad's job in the distillery fell through.
2 chops for dinner.
Did I? Well, maybe I did.
And very tasty they were.
I still need a pint, or 2, or 3.
You've got to earn it, unless you get yourself a rich patron.
Miss Harriet Weaver takes care of him, with advances, like subs to a navvy. Oh, she adores him. No, not that way, but his mind, his talent.
A rich patron? Like you have, you mean?
I never said. Well, at least I earned it.
How?
As an artist.
As a piss artist.
As a writer. Poems, stories, that line.
Harriet put him in her magazine and paid him £50. He said no publisher paid him before. Little did she know it'd never end, the advances. He was her mission in life.
I too must be a writer. Someday. But first I must complete my studies, finish my degree, experience a bit of life. Women. Particularly women.
What women? Those of Monto? Nighttown?
Maybe. But I've met someone new recently. She works in Finn's hotel.
Not for me was that straitjacket those men in black long frocks put women in. I might have lived in the shadow of St. Nicholas, but like Houdini, I made my escape. And didn't I land myself a job in the beating heart of it all, in the centre of Dublin city? Well, where else would an adventurous woman head for from Galway? I was in the hustle and bustle of it all, just off O'Connell Street, in a hotel, if you please. It came with board and lodgings. We had visitors from the world over. Life is to be lived to the full, and I was free.
I know her.
How's that? No one knows her.
I know. I know you. I know your past and your future.
What? My past and future? And what about your own future too?
No, not that.
Well then, you know I'm to meet her. I'm to meet her tonight.
Where?
Here, Merrion Square, Oscar Wilde's house, isn't it?
What's tonight?
Pardon?
What's the day?
Tuesday. Tuesday the 14th. The 14th of June. Why?
No, why? This is not your day, that's all.
What's my day? What's my day then?
Maybe in a couple of days' time.
No, I've waited long enough. The girls I met at friends' houses never took me.
So you go to the famous Monto, up Montgomery Street, Mecklenburg Street, Nighttown, you call it.
That doesn't solve my present predicament. Maybe I could tap Gogarty for some money. But I already owe him 5 bob.
5 shillings. For what?
Thought you knew me.
Remind me.
For grinds in chemistry. My studies. I earn top marks in languages, but can't get to grips with chemistry. And Gogarty, well, in being a medical student, you see.
Eccentrics of genius, as Dickens calls them.
An acid is a proton donor. A base is a proton acceptor. See? I know something of the new chemistry, but can never be a doctor.
Ah, I know. Not for me. I tried that lark.
Medicine.
Yep.
What stopped you?
What stopped you?
Chemistry.
How much is that, Doctor? 1 guinea, please. And asking me if I had frequent omissions. Omissions. With his short-sighted eyes on me cocked sideways. I wouldn't trust him to give me chloroform or God knows what else. Still, I liked him when he sat down to write the thing out, frowning so severe, his nose intelligent like that, thinking, you be damned, you lying strap.
Try biochemistry. It explains life better. The body, addiction, drink. What makes drink? What makes you drink? All that.
Right you are.
And Gogati is a good teacher.
And he knows something of poetry. He writes.
But not as well as you do, so you think.
Right. How do you know what I think?
I see you as my past. My future's another day's work.
How so? How does that work?
Darwin's evolution.
Evolution. I hear him talk about that to his friends. No, he won't talk to me about it. He thinks I've no brains. But I know a thing or two. Do you credit? Evolution. We all come from monkeys. And knowing some people, I believe it. And before monkeys, from something smaller. And before that, yeah, but is that all true, I wonder? Hard to believe. Do you credit? Then what does the church say? God made us all, though I wouldn't mention a God to him. Made Adam out of nothing, made Eve from Adam's rib. I know a thing. I went to school once, the convent. Went to mass too, though there's them says I didn't, with leading him astray and all. But 'twas him brought me off with him.
Darwin's theory says that we are evolving from something, not towards something. That we have a past, but our future is unknown. I know your future. You know your past.
Well, Gogody also knows something of points. Porter, stout, it's all chemistry.
Isn't he the grand doctor?
Medical student.
Oh, yes, I jump ahead. Time, the enemy of man. A good swimmer too, by all accounts.
How's that?
Let's just say I still read the papers, even in exile. Swimming saves his life when he jumps into the Liffey.
What? When?
Oh, forget it. Don't ask. It would drive you mad. To do with politics, Irish history, a nightmare you're trying to escape.
History? What? Whose history? I thought you said the future. How can the future be history?
It is, or can be, according to some. Have you the shakes? Tell me, do you crave a drink?
I don't knock it. It's the only exercise I get these days. You don't drink yourself by any chance? Imbibe alcohol. You talk like you do.
Of course. But where I am, we can't get the black stuff, porter. So I drink wine, absinthe, that tack.
Absinthe makes the heart grow fonder.
Yes, fonder for Dublin.
And where do you drink?
Anywhere that knows my knock.
With whom?
I drink with impunity. Or with anyone else who'll drink with me.
You've a way with words.
You were always good at languages, except your own.
Irish, is it? Yeah. I could never learn it.
Irish is hard. And Ireland the old sow that eats its farrow.
I know.
See what happened to poor Parnell. 'Twas Irish humour, wet and dry, threw quicklime into Parnell's eye.
I've often heard my father speak of it. The church and Parnell. Oh, come all you Roman Catholics that never went to Mass. Me, I'm an internationalist.
Try exile.
perhaps, someday. But that would require money, and right now I can't even afford the price of a few pints.
And then what? Night town?
Maybe. Or I might just pay a visit to Finn's hotel. She doesn't show tonight.
What will you do if she turns up?
You know, I'll be flattered. I'll walk out with her, court her even, for a while. Maybe betray her.
Betray her?
Maybe cheat.
With other women?
Yes.
And why would you?
Revenge.
And why? What did she do on you?
Not her. Her kind. Women.
Why?
They rejected me forever. Forced me to go to Night Town. Then those I liked cheated on me with people I despise. Revenge.
You're young. You'll change. That will change. Women might be the making of you yet. Just wait and see.
If it wasn't for women, where would he be indeed? His mother, sisters, Aunt Josephine, Harriet, Sylvia, Molly, Penelope, Anna Olivia, Lucia. Real and in his imagination.
Cosgrave, you let him, touch you.
Jim, stop. He only accompanied me to your concert to hear you sing. Your beautiful voice, Jim.
That's not all, is it?
Jim, stop it.
He makes out different.
You know, Jim. Willie Mulva was the first, down by the Spanish Arch, back in Galway, and he gave me the cladder ring. He touched me. Oh, it's in his great book. Only he says, Lieutenant Mulvey that kissed her under the Moorish wall. Always changing people's and places' names to suit. I knew more about men and life at 15 than they'll all know at 50.
And what about the Michaels? Feeney and Bodkin?
Innocent.
Innocent?
They died, Jim. I told you, they're dead.
Man killer. I know now why you're called that.
All innocent. I'm your dirty little fuckbird, remember? In your letters.
Do you ever drink to forget?
Sometimes, and then I see you and remember again.
Remember what?
The state of Ireland, the sow that eats its own fallow, religion and the British state of which Ireland is a part. See how they condemned Parnell.
Are you a Protestant?
Parnell was, and see what it brought him.
'Twas the Catholics he fought for turned on him. Are you a Protestant or turning Protestant?
Oh, God, no. Why should I swap a logical religion for an illogical one?
And the British state?
The British state contains Ireland as its statelet. You're in a vice.
That's imperialism.
More insidious than that. It's imperialism for India, for Egypt, for South Africa. But they claim you as one of their own, part of their kingdom. That you are as complicit in their foreign exploitation as they are, even though they exploit you too. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, is it not? Colonialism is one thing, bad enough, but for us it's called colonization. Oh, poor Parnell.
I have a good mind to fight for those.
Mind your temper.
I do. It's me dad has the temper in our house.
I know. He has his problems.
Don't we all?
But as you realise from school, or should I say from your schools, one man's bookwork is another man's problem.
Tell me, mister, how do you know so much about me and things?
I read a lot.
Explain what's to be done then for Ireland.
Greater minds than yours have asked and will ask that question, and you have a great mind. They say that for those who believe, no explanation is necessary, And for those who don't believe, no explanation will suffice.
Sounds so good, I can't tell the difference. Between your religion and your politics, I mean.
Let me tell you this. The Irish people are duplicitous too. Give them half a chance and they'll crucify you.
Yeah, a wet land where they eat cabbage and bacon, and the women go to church and the men to the pub.
What could be done about that?
Deny the deniers.
With what weapon?
For me, exile.
To where? The four corners of the world would not be far enough.
Ah, that's Shakespeare.
Shakespeare and Company. The name of Sylvia's bookshop. Only for Sylvia, the book, or book, as he pronounces it, would be stuck in his head and never in print.
In The Merchant of Venice, Shakespeare talks of the four corners of the earth. In King John, only of three.
With my craft, the artist's craft, the world is my oyster.
Ah, you may be right. Shakespeare again. The world's my oyster. From the Merry Wives of Windsor.
Shakespeare. The nearest thing in incarnation to the eye of God.
Ah, let's just say a French polisher of Italian operettas. And is he in fact Irish? Why isn't Patrick's name mentioned in a play about an old Danish prince?
If not Irish, then in sympathy with Catholics. You know, Catholics in Elizabethan England. Outcasts. You see how Shakespeare treats minorities. He understands their plight. In fact, he absolutely avoids almost mention of all of the Irish. Too close to the bone. A sensitive bard.
You are a poet as well.
I've scribbled some, yeah, yet to be published.
Ah, but wait and see. They will.
The title of my book tells it all. Chamber music, riddle and biddle.
Ah, I see. Chamber music, chamber pot.
If you are of vulgar mind.
Ladies and gents, you are here assembled to hear why earth and heaven trembled because of the black and sinister arts of an Irish writer in foreign parts.
Bravo, bravo.
And you like Ibsen too.
What do you know of Ibsen?
I know you're impressed. You wrote him a letter.
If only the Irish opened themselves up to Ibsen, you know, a writer in the modern European tradition. Instead of that Celtic twilight mythology stuff. We should face outwards to our European heritage and not be insular and inward. We should learn European tongues instead of reviving Irish and bog Latin.
You're in danger of becoming one of Ibsen's characters.
Which one?
If I said an enemy of the people, what would you think?
Parnell? Wasn't he a sort of enemy of the people after Kiki O'Shea?
Your father wouldn't think so.
My father, a minor politician, something in the distillery, a praiser of his own past, one of the many half model and half malicious ne'er-do-wells that inhabit Dublin. I'm his favourite. He saw to it I got a good education.
With the Jesuits. A Jesuit boy. You mimicked them. Why?
Because of all the orders of the church, they can take it. Even the name Jesuit was at first a term of derision before they claimed it as a term of honour.
What about the Christian Brothers?
Did let me son be educated by Paddy Stink and Mickey Muck? Not in your life. Only the best for Jim.
You never thought of becoming one. A Jesuit, I mean.
They trained me well. They wanted me.
A prize exhibition student in the intermediate certificate. A prefect of sodality. What turned you off? The cassock skirts? Les jupes, as one priest called them.
Girls, women, sinful thoughts, sermons of hellfire and damnation as punishment for those sins. I couldn't serve. I couldn't serve either country or church, whether that country be Ireland or the British state. Non servium.
I've often thought that in the fields of both religion and politics, there are two qualities, passion and cunning. And the Irish are not lacking either. Depending which rung of the ladder you're on.
Any mention of God?
No, Bo Daddy!
Who?
No, Bo Daddy! That's the name Blake gave him.
William Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry?
No, Bo Daddy. God, old deaf ears. We cling to him like a dog loyal to its cruel master.
Do you reckon he's there? God.
I'm inclined to think that mankind made God, not God mankind. I mean, it's because of nature that we've evolved the way we have, not nature being there for us. We are as a result of chance, a freak, a pure freak.
He's dead against the church and religion. But I hid that from my family, pretended we were properly married. What the scandal of it.
When we leave this vale of tears, we go to either heaven or hell or purgatory, according to the doctrine.
Heaven and hell, I understand, but purgatory, for what? To be purged? What the hell are we doing here in this life? Is this not being purged? Is this not purgatory? The way I see it is, God doesn't want us to be happy in this world. The Lord chastiseth them whom he loveth.
Well, he must really love me then.
Ah, listen to me. Look inside any Catholic church. The crucifixion with the blood oozing out of hands and feet, by nails driven through the flesh, crowns of thorns piercing the forehead. Is it not an image of cruelty personified that we get in these houses of God? Organized religion is an attempt to superimpose morality on nature. In trying to do this, it must fail. You cannot contain the feral urges of nature. We can't handle the fact that on this planet, at least, we're top of the chain. So we build a God, someone above us. We have a short space of time to savor this gift of life, only to have it taken away so soon. It all ends. Life, the world, the universe even. Everything has a limit. Everything is finite. Unless it all goes round again in cycles.
Why do men become priests?
They're afraid of their own mortality. They believe in the biblical story and are willing to devote their lives to making others believe. Or they want to be saved so much from hell, they, like the ascetic monks of old, withdraw from life.
Passion and cunning you mentioned. What about silence and cunning?
Meaning?
As weapons, as tools to fight church and state.
State. Mother Ireland or the British Empire?
I would say silence and cunning to fight the stagnant state of Ireland and all its ignorance, and passion and cunning to rail against our foreign government.
Deny the deniers.
How so?
If they will not let you live as you should as a human being, deny them. You mentioned it with silence. There is also exile and cunning.
Good riddance. Oh, I know. Don't tell me. Shakespeare.
You're learning. Smart boy wanted. Apply within.
You were saying?
There's one other tool. Exile.
So?
Let's speak to the exile. What do you say, master?
How is dear dirty Dublin?
Oh, let's ask the resident.
'Tis still going.
Let's see, do you still have Sydney Parade and Sandymount Tram, Down's Cake Shop and William's Jam.
All there, still there.
Denny's Sausages.
Them too.
From swerve of shore to bend of bay, back to Hoath Castle and environs.
Sorry?
I'm just composing something in my head.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
I did too at your age. Do you have a newspaper?
Freeman's.
The Freeman's Journal, once the paper of Parnell, now an organ of the Irish Independent. The paper of Murphy, William Martin, scourge of the workers of Dublin. And the name of Murphy also given to Spuds. The Irish should rue that moniker yet.
Not that one. I mean an Irish Times.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I haven't bought it for the letters to the editor. There you go.
Thanks. Ah, the Irish Times, the best back warmer in Ireland.
And beyond, I see.
I thought you wanted to read.
Later. Meantime, tell me more of Dublin. How's the pillar?
Still standing.
The old one-armed adulterer.
See what you mean.
And Gogarty, after his heroic swim with the ducks in the Liffey.
That again. I don't know. What's this swim with ducks?
Forget it. After your time. Your future, the nightmare of history, as I call it. Everyone's future is someone's history, and history is cyclical.
History, is it? He's off again. History, his nightmare. He says all our nightmares. Ireland. And what he says. Sure, we all learned history. Rome, St. Patrick, the Vikings, our Lord. Not that he believes anymore. Once, he said, but not now. Anyway, history, the English, and us. Ugh, don't get him started. Then he says, history is a circle. Ooh, what's the word he uses? Circle, cycle. That's it. History goes round again, he thinks. Not that I know. He thinks I've no brains, but I can tell a thing or two. The three of them. Oh, I know them.
Before Nelson's pillar, trams started, slow shunt. Rathgar and Terranure, come on, Sandymount Green, start Palmerston Park, the heart of the Hibernian metropolis.
You have it right, sir. Nothing wrong with your memory.
Enough of this, sir.
What should I call you?
You may call me Maestro, or perhaps in your tongue, Master. Under the porch of the GPO, shoeblacks calling and polishing.
You have it, Master.
The brewery float and dull thudding barrels rolling out.
Reminds me, I still haven't had the price of a few pints yet.
Lorries along Sir John Rogerson's Quay, past Windmill Lane, Leask's, the linseed crushers, the postal telegraph office, past the sailor's home.
All right, yeah, I'm still with you, Master.
Turning from the morning noises of the quayside through Lime Street, by Brady's cottages, Townend Street.
Correct, I'm with you, Master.
Westland Row, the Belfast and Oriental Tea Company.
Oh yeah, I've forgotten that.
How can you forget that and you still there?
Absence make the heart grow fonder.
And what is home without Plumtree's potted meat? Incomplete. With it, an abode of bliss. Have I got it?
You've got it, Master. You ever go back to Dublin, Master?
Have I ever left?
Dublin is history.
History. History's a nightmare I'm trying to escape.
Oi.
Irish history, where Christ and Caesar are hand in glove.
We've enough history in Ireland. We've enough God in Ireland.
Master.
Our history is our nightmare. Wallowing in it is no occupation for free men. We must awake, escape our sad past, discard it. If Finn is our legendary hero warrior, then we must all be Finnegans. Let us awake. Finnegan's wake.
I could do with some porter right now. Finn's Hotel, maybe.
He's to meet a girl tonight who works there.
That sounds familiar.
Not you too. Not next you tell me you know me, my past and future.
Never. And do you know this girl?
Only that she's from Galway and works in Finn's Hotel.
Do you know much about Galway then?
I'd prefer to learn about Galway girls.
The city of the tribes, your name among them.
We came from Cork.
Who is she, your girl?
I only met her on Sunday last. Her name is Nora, from Galway.
I escaped from claustrophobic Galway. Galway, city of tribes. His name, one of them tribes, even though they're Cork. My name, Barnacle's not a tribe. As he put it, glorious name of Irish goose. He told me his father said, with a name like Barnacle, she'll stick to him. Aye, yes, I did, yes. Stick to him.
How does she look?
I like her. She's plump in all the right places. Lovely eyes, auburn hair. Best of all, devil me care confidence. Doesn't give a damn.
Now you're talking.
Whenever I glance at her, I want to look at her again, take her in. Oh, I need a pint.
A pint?
Or two, or three.
A quart, maybe.
Exactly.
3 quarks for Muster Mark.
Muster Mark.
Master Mark, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John.
The 4 masters, the recorders of Ireland's early history. History again.
See, you can't escape it. In Ireland, at least, that's why I employ exile.
Along with silence and cunning.
My credo.
Amen.
Would you die for Ireland, Master?
Let Ireland die for me.
Why?
We've enough death in Ireland, in our history. We want a country for the living.
Says you, who live overseas. What about those who stayed? What about De Valera?
Who?
Dev, an interesting subject, Dev. A comparison of Eamon De Valera and me would draw interesting conclusions.
Go on.
Firstly, both Dev and I are born in the same year, 1882.
And me.
And me too.
Secondly, we both wear spectacles, bad eyesight, attend the same surgeon in Zurich, Dr. Vogt.
Dr. Vogt?
Vogt, V-O-G-T.
Vogt.
Vogt. He charges Dev top dollar. Me, I get him for free.
Dr. Vogt. He'd be fucked only for Vogt. Couldn't cure him from himself, though. One eye gone.
I've cataracts, glaucoma, my right eye nearly gone. Only one left, really. But I'll say that blinded as I am, my vision is clearer than De Valera's.
Can doctors really help us? Help our Lucia?
I grant you that Dev's myopia is merely political, not the same as mine. Dev is the yin to my yang, where I am Shem, he's Sean. If only Dev had got that job in Galway.
Galway again?
Yeah, before he got involved with politics, Dev applied for the post of Professor of Mathematical Physics at the University College in Galway.
Always the mathematician, Dev.
Correct. Think of how our history would have evolved had Dev stuck to statistics theory, prime numbers and probability tables instead of electoral statistics, the numbers of seats and the probability of power.
Our history, maybe our literature too.
Where I am Seamus, Shem the penman, the writer, Dev is Sean the post, the politico, his opposite. I conjure up a world where Shem and Sean are brothers, having the same begetter.
What world is that?
The dream world. All history's there, going round in cycles. The end is the beginning. My new book, I'll leave the professors puzzling for centuries. Tim Finnegan lived in Walking Street, a gentleman Irish mighty odd. He had a brogue so rich and sweet, and to rise in the world Tim carried a hod. But Tim had a sort of a tippling way, with a love of the liquor poor Tim was born. To help him on his rounds each day, he'd a drop of the crater every morn.
That's why you're the master.
You're not so bad yourself. You've written, been published.
I have, you know, and a hard job I had getting published.
And a hard job getting paid for it.
I know. And one of your best known scenes, the sermon by Father Arnold at the mission, about lust and hell as its punishment. In fact, do you know that Father Arnold said years after he had written it, that it was word for word the sermon he'd given? Hadn't James a great memory, he said.
Hadn't Father Arnold a great cheek? Let me shake the hand that wrote Ulysses.
Be careful, it's done other things as well.
I know.
She's late. I hope she remembers.
But maybe today's not your day, Sonny Jim. Wait, try in a couple of days.
I really like her.
I know, but it won't happen today.
Women, huh? They laugh at us.
Laugh at them. Men. We used to dress as men and wander around the streets of Galway by night. Me and Mary O'Halloran. One time we passed Uncle Tommy and he out looking for me and I bid him, "Good evening," in a man's voice. He never knew. Sure, if we laugh at them, 'tis only what they deserve. Poke fun at them. Sure, what do men do to us?
Men are scared of women. Women have or can have such power over men.
Good-looking woman. A beautiful woman.
That crack, that groove, that little slit that all women have.
Go up on the crack of dawn right now.
Men, of course, war over it for centuries.
Like what happened with Helen. Helen of Troy. Launched 1,000 ships.
They're just so damn nice, women. But what have they ever done for us?
If it weren't for the women, where would he be? The way Harriet keeps him going with money. Always writing letters to her, asking for more. Like a navvy looking for a sub. And him an artist. Oh, if only he stuck to the music. That concert where he sang and Cosgrave took me to.
Dear Miss Weaver, I have never received as much as a penny from any of the two publishers of my books. Dear Miss Weaver, your benevolence is much appreciated.
Harriet let you have £50 for the extract she published.
I overheard Giorgio telling his schoolmates that when there was no more money, I wrote to England and got a couple of £100 from a lord.
Then she told him she wanted to publish the book, or the book, as he pronounces it. He's Dublin, of course. She sought a printer to publish the book in book form and not just as a serial in her magazine. She called on Virginia Woolf, who noted Miss Weaver's appearance as a buttoned-up and wool-gloved missionary, and for a book that reeled with indecency.
You mean you do nothing and this woman, she pays you in cash?
I write.
You mean you just write while she pays you?
I'm a writer, an artist.
We could all do that, live that way. What have you written?
I go to forge in the smithy of my soul the uncreated conscience of my race.
Dear Miss Weaver, I write to you now for some more money.
And if it wasn't for Sylvia Beach, his blue book of Eccles would never have seen the light of day. Sylvia, they say she doesn't, like men, only other women. I wonder. Well, what's it like, I wonder, to be with another woman? So gentle, soft-like, with no brute to go inside you. And how he fell out with Sylvia.
I needed to get published in America legally as soon as the courts there decided I wasn't obscene.
And Ireland?
No, not banned in Ireland, not officially, However, at an asking price of 25 shillings a copy, I think that was censorship enough.
Peter Heaney, a neighbour of mine from Bowling Green, got an original of the book. When a priest visiting the house some time after saw it, he said, "What are you doing with a dirty book like that?" And the book ended up in the bin. Well, that's Ireland for you. A wet land where they eat cabbage and bacon, and the women go to church and the men goes to the pub. Jim always pretended not to be interested in success or money, when in reality he was obsessed by both. He begged from Harriet and Sylvia, while she and Adrienne scrimped to make ends meet. Sylvia had a conscience, a socialist conscience, about the exploitation of labour by capital. She believed in wealth proportionate to needs. Her needs were small, his were large. He benefited from her conscience.
Dear Miss Weaver, I write to you now for...
Sylvia Beach was his publisher, administrator, post office and rent payer. Shakespeare and Company. His expenses were infinite. Postage, paper, legal fees, medical expenses, Dr. Vogt, telephone calls, taxis, his generous tips in restaurants, the gift copies of the Buke. Then with each new edition of it, Sylvia thought she was catching up. To her, he was a genius and he must be treated as such. We must serve him.
Sylvia. It didn't matter much to me that she and her more intelligent partner were abnormal. I mean, two women living together. But rather that she was the daughter of a suicide, that her sister had been in an asylum, and that she suffered from very queer headaches.
Madness does not sit well got among the Irish, but I understood. I come from Ireland's west, a lot of troubled people, and our Girleen, well, like him, she's gifted, an artist, a dancer and all, but she's bothered. He won't admit it. Took her out of the clinic, takes her to all sorts of doctors, and they all tell him try different cures. No, he won't admit it, but I know. I've seen it back in Galway a lot. Must be the weather we get in Galway, where it rains. A veil of tears, like we learnt in catechism. She was never the same, I suppose, after Sam let her down. Feck it. Beckett. She knew she wasn't like others. I wouldn't allow her to visit Galway once because I anticipated trouble when my people found out she doesn't go to Holy Mass, Holy Confession, Holy Communion and Holus Bolus. God forgive me.
Dear Miss Weaver.
Tell me, why do men fear and sometimes hate women? It's because of the power they have over us.
They're beautiful. Men like beauty, are attracted by it. Consequently, they have power over us.
I was rejected, cheated on, betrayed, forced to go to Nighttown for relief. I want my revenge, my pound of flesh.
Ah, pound of flesh. Shakespeare, again.
Leave it out, will you?
I'm serious.
Not too serious. I want to relax.
Yeah, you too.
I need some points to relax. You want to spot me 5 bob?
I wouldn't spot 1 bob. Don't mind 5. I know you. Your credit.
Credit where credit is due.
Control yourselves, men.
Self-control is a problem with me.
I know. You're young. I once was.
But do you turn up at all tonight?
Do you really want revenge on all women for what some have done to you in the past? On this girl, Nora?
I've yet to see what she's like to talk to be with.
I used to drive him wild with excitement. He loved to hear about the others I had before him. Mulva, my first, down by the Spanish Arch. Then in Dublin, Cosgrave, his enemy. But then when I'd feel his manhood down his trousers, it drove him wild. Wild.
You will owe a huge debt to women in your life yet. You'll see.
What then do you like in women, Master?
The exact same as you two. Plump, well-filled.
The letters he wrote to me, telling me what he'd like to do to me, and asking what I liked done. One minute telling me he liked me pure, the next saying I was his whore, his dirty little fuckbird.
Night down.
Eyes, lovely eyes. To see into eyes as I make love, to knock a reaction out of them.
Night down.
The women?
Night town.
Her carefree, diddle my care beauty. I want to possess her, to make her care.
About what?
About everything, about life. It's unnatural the way she seems so casual. About things, life, unnatural.
And the unnatural things you do to her.
Look at you.
It's all natural, totally natural, like my opinions on language. No good or bad language, only language, all natural.
Then marry her. Make an honest woman of her.
Why, she is honest.
For her sake. It can't be easy on her, you know, for a woman to live.
Why, for some sense of given morality, some law or church?
Morality?
No, not the church. Maybe for some state. For legality, I mean. For her.
I could not serve that in which I no longer believe, whether my home, my fatherland, or my church.
Why don't you believe? What's the reason?
Me?
You wouldn't kneel down and pray as your mother lay dying.
Couldn't. I had a crisis of faith, so to speak. The opposite of an epiphany. My fear of chemistry, remember? My fear of the chemical action which would be set up in my soul by a false homage to a symbol, behind which are 20 centuries of authority and veneration.
And your mother?
Mother wept and vomited up green bile into a basin. I didn't yield to custom.
What about you, Master?
After a life of questioning the religious issue as well as others mentioned, I'm more sure of this than of any of the others.
Well?
Well?
There's either no God up there, or if he's there, he's a strange fellow indeed.
And God's opposite number?
Given the state of the world, its history and all, there is more of a likelihood that he's there than God is, unless they are one and the same, and that would explain a lot.
So what happens to mankind?
Great progress. Great tragedy too. History comes in cycles.
Don't you still believe, Master?
Oh, only when there's thunder and lightning.
Lucia.
And Father Arnold, did he not teach us the penny catechism?
He did. The Socratic method. After Socrates, questions and answers by rote.
But here's my question. What quality does the Irish race have that makes them act differently from what they say? Answer, duplicity.
Or try this. What deadly porcine-like behavior does the Irish race have for their own? Answer, the sow that eats its own farrow. Or this, what vulgar meaning commercial label have I been given by my critics? Answer, a smut merchant.
Or this, what didactic idler's name have I been called? Answer, an educated corner-boy.
She's not coming. I'll write her a letter tonight. This corner boy gives up.
Be patient. What did I tell you? It's only the 14th. Pick another day.
Ah, there he is, yapping on again about something on his mind or whatever he's reading. Damn the good all that reading done him. Nearly drove him mad. And he with bad eyes. Sure, he shouldn't be reading at all. One operation after another, blind and writing most nights when not drinking or playing music. See, that's it. I always said if only he stuck with the music and not killing himself with writing. And what's he writing? Sure, there's them filth anyway. Not that I care when he gives it to me. I know he's well able, that I'll say. But writing sometimes all night long with no break. And the time he threw it all in the fire and 'twas me saved it from burning away. Anyways, when we first walked out together that Thursday, he couldn't keep his eyes off of me. That I saw. And pawing me in the behind as we bade farewell. Sure, didn't I think he was a Swedish sailor at first, with the rig out on him, not knowing all he was a Dublin Jackeen chatting up country girls. And me giving up me job later to folly him off to the continent like some young one out of the convent. Off we go, divil a job to go to, him writing. Me warming his bed at nights. Oh, that all right. Plenty of that with him. Telling me I drive him mad and all. And then moving around from place to place, like his father before him. But not only from house to house, or from apartment, as they call them over there, to apartment, but from city to city, from country to country even. Trieste, Paris, Zurich, back again. Always borrowing money or trying to teach to earn a crust or even a drink. He's fond of it, the drop, like his father. If it wasn't for Harriet, I don't know where we'd be. He owes her a lot, so he does. And then Sylvia from the bookshop, to take a chance and publish him like that, where would he be? I'm worried that women laugh at him. Sure, what of it if they do? It's the only weapon, I told him, women have against men is laughing. And look what men do to women. Far worse. And Lucia, not being well. Sure, it's a wonder I stuck with him all the years. From the start, I knew he was mad about me. And I gave him all the pleasure I could, leading him on till...
I'm still thirsty. I need some porter.
A quart of Guinness would do.
Quart? There's 3 of us.
3 quarks then. 3 quarks for Muster Mark. 3 quarks for Mistress Joyce.
What language is that?
Irish. The language of my last book, The Wake.
Right, then, my turn. What ruby red liquid that appears black in a glass do I crave right now? Answer, Guinness Porter.
Now you're a fast learner.
He could have told you.
What addictive agent common to all alcoholic beverages do I crave? Answer, ethanol.
Oh, the chemistry is standing to you now.
Of what illegitimate number is the bubble of one's life often populated by? Answer, bastards. Noli
illegitimate carborundum. Latin. Don't let the bastards get you down.
Nora?
I loved you from the start. Your confident swagger on the streets of Dublin.
Nora?
I wouldn't answer first, only looked out over the sea and the sky.
Nora, it's time for Giorgio and Lucia, for their sake, not some morality.
It'll shock my family. They think we've been married for over 20 years.
The solicitors say we must, for testamentary reasons, they say, for Giorgio and Lucia.
Giorgio can handle it. It's Lucia I'm afraid of. She might not take the news well that she was illegitimate.
Anyway, it's been decided. July 4th is our wedding day. My father's birthday.
Where?
London Registry Office.
Not in a church?
No, non serviam.
It'll cause a scandal. Oh, God. What'll I wear?
Did anyone find out?
Oh, we were caught by all London's press going into the registry office.
For all of London knows you're here.
Not in the church, then. And the children.
I didn't need a priest in his nightshirt to say amen over us to make them legitimate.
And I thought, well, as well him as another.
What weapons should one employ to deflect the sadness and treachery of Ireland and its rulers, church and empire?
I shall not serve, non serviam.
Deny the deniers.
Silence, cunning, exile.
And then I asked him with my eyes to ask again.
Meet on the 16th of June and see.
In a field down by the river, my love and I did stand, and on my leaning shoulder she laid her snow-white hand. She bid me take life easy as the grass grows on the weirs. But I was young and foolish, and now I am full of tears.